You're gonna break new ground, turn everything around. You're gonna live your life. There's a beautiful day headed your way. Keep your head up, up, up. You'll be okay. Beautiful day waiting for you. Just open your eyes, you'll see it's true. A beautiful day. Tick-tock, don't stop. Every little thing, it'll be alright. Flip-flop, just drop. Any negativity out of sight. You're gonna reach up high. You're gonna learn to fly. You're gonna live your life. You're gonna live your life. There's a beautiful day headed your way. Keep your head up, up, up. You'll be okay. Beautiful day waiting for you. Just open your eyes, you'll see it's true. A beautiful day. A beautiful day.
All right. I want to say welcome. I am so excited for tonight. This is going to be an incredible evening because we're going to learn a lot about something that maybe, people don't really know, and it's called Senior Pageants Group. I mean, you see the pageants, the Miss USA, the World Miss Universe, and all of those, but have you ever thought about those from 60 and over? While Senior Pageants Groups has women from 60 to 95 and even more. I think they had 100-year-old once on there, and they embrace and they really cherish them. In fact, this pageant is very unique. Carl Dunn, who's the CEO of Pageantry magazine, this is his quote: "The Senior Pageants Group is the gold standard of senior pageantry that has brought the concept of senior women and pageants into the mainstream society." Wow, who would have thought of that? Okay, I think they're the best. I'm in that age range, right? The motto they have is embrace, encourage, and empower. That's right. We have a whole nother decade and decades to live still, so why not? Their mission statement is their organization honors and celebrates the lives and accomplishments of women over 60. They are the women and daughters of the greatest generation. That's what I say. And they encourage women as they approach 60 to embrace who they are and to understand that age does not limit what they can become and what they have to offer in the world. As senior women, they have nurtured our families, their careers, their local communities while surviving personal tragedy, economic depressions, regional conflicts, and world wars even. So their quote is, "We have been present while the nations of the world went into the unthinkable brink of nuclear holocaust. And we're strong, savvy, goal-oriented, wise, and aware. We display these characteristics in our everyday lives as people and as humanitarians who also and always seek to improve the lives of others. As an organization, lastly, we seek to further empower women of all ages, nations, and cultures to strive for equality, to achieve their personal best, to make real and meaningful changes, and to individually redefine what it means to be a senior woman and role model to the communities of women who will follow us." So I am so excited. I'm going to introduce you to the pageant director. He's not just the pageant. They have several pageants. He's the Senior Pageants Group. And what we're going to do is meet James Kinsey. This guy is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to making a positive difference. He has a lot of those that help him and help make this happen. But what we're going to do is we're going to listen to his podcast. His health was not the best for this evening, so we decided we're going to do a podcast instead. But this was an article that Pageant magazine, and it's a very prestigious magazine that's known around the world, that wrote up about James Kinsey. And we're going to hear his story. actually, we're going to go to his podcast and we're going to listen to what he says about this pageant personally. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him up, and I hope his health gets much better and he feels up to par for our next week, which he said he would be. So here is the podcast, and we're just going to listen to it. It's about 16 minutes. It's well worth listening to. So here we go.
Welcome to the Pageantry Podcast.
And today's very special Pageantry Podcast guest is the president of Senior Pageants Group, which produce Miss Senior USA and Miss Senior Universe, Mr. James Kinsey. James, welcome to the Pageantry Podcast.
How are you doing today, Carl?
I am doing awesome. I'm so happy to talk to you today. I'm kind of excited, with being able to speak about the senior pageants and that genre of the glamour lifestyle industry that a lot of people are becoming more and more aware of. So when were the Miss Senior USA and Miss Senior Universe pageants founded?
They were originally founded, Senior USA was founded in 2015, and it was introduced as a brand at Miss Universe. And Senior Universe was founded in 2017.
Why and how long ago did you become involved with the organization?
When the concept started, I was asked to be a sponsor originally. And I was asked to sponsor a young lady for a pageant. Then after that, I was asked to sponsor a mother in the Mrs. pageant. And then I was asked to sponsor a senior who wanted to compete in a younger ladies pageant. And I thought that was kind of curious, so I'll look at that one. So myself and several others, including a congressman at the time, actually attended. It was at the Orleans, and Our Lady ended up winning her category, competing against ladies half her age. And so that started tripping some ideas. So they had some ideas about taking it further. And then Senior USA started because no one really knew what to do or where to take it. It just seemed to be the next logical step. I was a sponsor originally in 2015. And then after the initial meet and greet in 2016, the organizers dropped out. And what happened was, at that point, I found myself as a sponsor and as an organizer and running the pageant, which was a surprise. And so since 2016, I've actually been running the show. And 2017, we were in our first stage production. 2017 is when we had Universe. And then one of our queens said, "Oh, by the way, that's Pageantry Magazine. It's Carl Dunn. He's part of the industry. He's the gold standard." And so you and I started talking, and thank goodness you've been around to help coach me a little bit, because quite frankly, it's been a period of extreme growth. It's been a period of making new firsts. And I don't think it would have been possible had you not been around, Carl. So, for that, I have to thank you.
The Senior Pageants Group, you actually offer several age divisions. Can you explain the age division breakout and what each entails?
Originally, we offered only 60 and above. That was the senior division. That grew into a super seniors, where ladies who were 75 and older wanted a separate division. So that became just a natural progression. From that, we had ladies who wanted their daughters to become involved. Now, their daughters were older than normal pageant systems. And we were talking about ladies who, if they were in their 70s, their daughters were usually in their 50s. So we started what we called the baby brand. And that was from 50 to 59. And then during that same period of time, we had a young lady who was a part of our system who was turning 90. And from her, we started the Grand Dam, which was 90 and up. And so right now, most senior pageants are actually discouraging ladies who are 79, 80 or older, and they're discouraging people under 60, but we actually take both sets. We just feel it's a natural progression. And those who join us in their 50s will generally be with us in their 60s and 70s and 80s.
What can someone expect when competing for one of your titles?
Well, they should expect that during the competition, we do a week of essentially good events, which were introduced to ladies. We introduced them to the general public. Most of the public are unaware of senior pageants, so we try to bring them into the forefront. And then the other thing that we do is to do a meet and greet with public entities. And so the first couple of days are, for example, the pageant coming up, we'll do a showgirl and pageantry boot camp. So that's for ladies who are just getting back into it, or ladies who have never been on stage before. And so they get to spend a day with stage makeup, making the mistakes that they know they're going to make, getting used to a camera, taking their picture, things like that. The next day, what we do is in this particular case, we'll be with the Shriners. There's a golf tournament in town. And what we will do is put them with the meet and greet, which is a kick off your heels. That's how we actually started our first greetings with ladies from out of town in 2016. And kick off your heels introduces them to the Shriners, the patient ambassadors, things like that. The following day, we will be at the World Senior Games. And the World Senior Games is larger than the Olympics. We have over 12,000 athletes coming from more than 80 countries. It'll be across the border in Utah, so we'll bus our ladies over. Our ladies will actually be handing out gold medals. One of our ladies, Marianne Hamilton, is being inducted into the Senior Games Hall of Fame. She, at last count, earned 40 gold medals after the age of 60, and is just an incredible athlete. After that, we do our interviews and rehearsals, and then we'll have Senior USA on the stage for the first time. We're looking at the stratosphere at this point. We're negotiating to have the stage available to us for a few days. And then we have a TV crew coming in to actually film a documentary.
Can you expound on the mission statement, embrace, encourage, empower?
Most seniors in today's youth-oriented world have been somewhat left behind. Even when we attended the United Nations Women's Day, it was centered on younger and working age women, which I can understand, human trafficking. But the seniors are actually the largest victims in most cases, especially around the globe. Our seniors are protected in Britain and Canada and the United States in ways that they're not protected elsewhere. So the idea is to embrace all of our seniors. And when ladies begin to become a senior, like in their 50s, we encourage them to understand that life is not over. It's not a retirement age. It's not something that now they're done, because people live a lot longer nowadays. More people are over the age of 50 in this country than under. And we encourage them to do the things they want to do. With that, we empower them and help them along. We actually help make their dreams come true. One of our ladies wanted to go to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and take a picture with Santa. So that's what we did. Some ladies have charity. Some ladies have, in one case, we have a lady with a hot air balloon. She's actually our senior in the United States. She has a hot air balloon for disabled people. And so we made it possible for that hot air balloon to be featured in several aspects, which actually increased her business.
We touched upon it briefly a little earlier. And all those senior pageants that have been around for a while, and thank you for the support that you give us. You've really taken it to that new level. What do you attribute your success to?
There's two things. I've already mentioned the first reason is yourself, being a mentor. The second reason is listening to the ladies. We have conference calls every month, or more frequent if necessary. And the ladies actually have been around for a while. They have great ideas. And listening to them and actually making it happen is the easiest way to do it. The United Nations, one of our ladies said, "I'd really like to go to the UN." It was a bucket list. She had just gotten out of the hospital from a heart condition. She said, "I'm going to the United Nations." So we said, "Let's go." And we went there. We went to New York. We figured out how to do it. And by the third year, we had a senior ambassador crowned on the floor of the United Nations, the only pageant queen ever. We've had ladies that said, "Can we do this or can we do that?" That's the idea. Is we don't say no. We don't say it's impossible. We don't say we can't. We don't think we can do that. The idea is to make it happen. And so if you have a goal and you're able to make it happen, that's what we try to do. within reason. Obviously, we don't know if we're going to go to the moon yet, but there are now several. An 82-year-old in Texas just rode on a space flight, the oldest one ever in space. So we think that's going to be possible someday. But the idea is what the ladies dream of and what they believe they can dream. That's what we try to make happen.
And in our previous conversations, I know we've touched a lot about what they have done, what you have planned for them for the future. I know the one was crowned, obviously, on the floor of the UN. You spoke about the Macy Days Parade. And being a veteran yourself, I know that you're very passionate in supporting our armed services. And I've actually even met you out at the National Softball Tournament for the Wounded Warriors. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Certainly. I'm actually a veteran and a life member of the American Legion. I'm a veteran in 2 armed forces, both the American and the Israeli. We support our veterans, we support our first responders, we support our police. In February, there is a tournament of champions, senior softball, and the Wounded Warriors have a softball team that they go and they play tournament champions. And so what we did is we started attending this, and it's in Florida. We began to attend this, and we have the ladies appear as cheerleaders for the Wounded Warriors. Many of our ladies are actually veterans. I think Gladys Hughes, who was in our first pageant, she's in her 90s now, actually attended Senior Universe wearing her World War II uniform.
And James, that is amazing. And thank you for the service. And thank your queens for supporting our veterans. But from an entertainment standpoint, am I correct in hearing that one of your contestants was actually on American Idol?
It was actually America's Got Talent. And she went up to the initial stages. That's Mari Lewis. Mari Lewis is a very talented young lady. She does trapeze, she does Comic-Con, and she does characters. And she actually competed, it was just a year ago, right before the lockdown. And she was up in front of the judges, and she's just an incredible young lady. Another of our queens has been on America's Got Talent singing and made it through the first couple of rounds. That was Marilyn Kohler, and she's in her 90s.
How has the pandemic affected the event, especially because your demographic is senior women?
Well, our demographic is the hardest hit, but our demographic also is the smartest part of it. We grew up learning how to brush our teeth, wash our hands, and take care of ourselves. So we're a little bit smarter. The vaccines have helped. Last year, when the casino industry was shut down and closed, we held our pageant on a soundstage we built in a ballroom. And we didn't let anybody else in. We had our Queen's dinner on a boat in Lake Mead underneath the dam. We did everything we needed to do, and we make sure it happened. Now, would I want to do it again that way? I would hope not. But if that's what's necessary, we do what we have to do to get the job done.
What would you like the glamour lifestyle industry to know about these women and the senior pageants groups?
To understand that your demographic may be changing. You'll have the younger ones, you'll have the younger beauties. The ladies that are behind you, for instance, on the wall, are absolutely gorgeous. And they're a combination of good genetics and nutrition and good coaching and makeup. When you become a senior, sometimes that's a good thing, but most of the time it's not. So when you're looking at manufacturers and you're looking at other people at the senior pageants, just understand that the younger queens will someday get older. And the idea is, what are you going to do with them? Well, if they still want to be pageant queens, Senior USA and Senior Universe are the ones that are available. If they want to go into modeling at the age of 60, which, for instance, Galen Zahir is a great young lady to do so, then you provide that opportunity.
How can women from baby senior to super senior learn more about the organization?
Well, we have a great website. It's www.misseniorusa.org. There's an 800 number that they can call. Many times I'm the one that picks up the phone. And then of course, if they just have questions, they can call and find out.
Is there anything that you would like to add?
In just the last, I think 24 hours, I received an agreement from a TV production wanting to renegotiate and extend our production contracts, and actually looking at providing additional funding or seeking funding from sponsors to do so. It's a development where TV crews will sometimes do a little show or a documentary, but they're not in for the long haul. The idea of a senior pageant lasting is one of longevity and, of course, the media. The media helps the pageant live beyond the founders.
And congratulations. I know you've worked hard over the last several years to get the senior pageant groups into the mainstream of the glamour lifestyle industry. You've done a lot to promote these wonderful women. And I do, once again, congratulate you, as well as congratulate your queens for how much that they're actually doing out there. And today's very special guest has been Senior Pageants Groups President, Mr. James Kinsey. James, thank you so much for your enlightenment today and your time. We appreciate it. We'll hope to see you out there soon.
Was a way cool interview that just shows exactly what James, who is the president of Pageant Groups, and he is definitely all about making sure women all around the globe are treated like VIP and that they have a chance, because as he mentioned, there's more living that are over age 50 than there are under age 50. So I really love that. We're going to actually meet one of the queens. She actually won a wonderful title. I'm going to just get her podcast. We're going to get her podcast up, and it's going to be basically trying to downsize this. Okay, so we're going to get hers up, and she is the one that he was talking about. She's Miss Senior Universe 2022. Her name is Marion Hamilton. And next week, what's really exciting is we're listening to podcasts this evening. We just kicked off this week and we're just getting everything ready. But starting next week, we're going to be meeting many of these wonderful women and who are competing. The finals is in November north of Orlando, an incredible place. We're going to discuss that in a bit. But let's go ahead. I want to introduce you to our next queen. And she is absolutely amazing. She is the one that's in the Super Senior Games, Olympic Games, and absolutely phenomenal with everything that she does. But the article here, Overcoming Obstacles, says quite a bit that, it takes effort if you want to really accomplish something, especially I think it was said that she won 40 awards after age 60 with these Olympic Games. That says definitely quite a bit. So right now I'm going to go ahead and click on her podcast so that we can go ahead and, here it is, watch this and listen to this. It's a little bit longer, but I can't wait to meet her. And when you have wonderful women that are this age, seasoned and above, and they just keep on going. I mean, I have my whole life still ahead of me, at least 3 decades. And to see Marianne Hamilton, she has won 40 awards in the Senior Olympics since over age 50. So you can't just stop and say my life is over when she retire, right? And so after this interview, we're definitely going to be writing our bucket list and making it happen. So here is our wonderful Marianne Hamilton interview.
Welcome to the Pageantry Podcast.
And today's very special Pageantry Podcast guest, calling in very early in the morning out west, is Miss Senior Universe 2022, Marianne Hamilton. Good morning, Marianne.
Good morning, Carl. It's great to be with you.
I am so excited. It seems like we just left each other in Vegas and we're already getting into our interviews and getting ready for the next edition of Pageantry Magazine. So I appreciate you calling in this morning.
I am honored to be with you, as always.
What does the title of Miss Senior Universe mean to you?
Oh my gosh, it's a huge honor, first of all, of course. But I think the bigger impact is that it offers me an opportunity to be a representative of women of a certain age. Ladies in our pageant system are 60 plus, and I'll be 70 this year, which is kind of exciting. And I like the idea, love the idea of being able to be a representative for women at an age when, a lot of American society kind of thinks we're ready for the Barca Lounger, and the bonbons. And in fact, we're active, talented women in many cases who are making active contributions to their communities, making a difference. And we still have a lot of value at this age. And that's what I think this crown represents. And that's what I would like to represent to the world.
Tell us about your experience competing in Miss Senior Universe.
Interesting. Until 2019, I had never even been to a pageant, much less been in one before. It just wasn't on my radar screen. I grew up pretty bookwormy and overweight and all those kinds of things. And the idea of being at a pageant was something that, thin, pretty girls did. And, I was reading books and eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So that was pretty much my life. And, but in any case, I saw a woman who was wearing a sash and crown at a national senior games event. And her sash said Miss Senior Utah. And that's where I live at this point. So I was intrigued by that. So I went up and spoke to her, and she told me a bit about our pageant system. And I ran into her again a few months later, and we spoke at more length, and she encouraged me to go to the Miss Senior Universe website and take a look. And so I investigated, and I was really, really, really interested, because our pageant system is not a typical, maybe what people think of as a beauty pageant. It's more really celebrating the accomplishments of women of a certain age and those who are still active and out there and doing things and making a positive impact, which I really, really liked. So I applied, and I called our pageant director, James Kinsey, and we had a delightful conversation, and he encouraged me to think about it. And so I did. I didn't tell my husband for about 2 months because I thought he would think I was completely deranged and lost my mind. And when I finally spoke to him about it, he said, "Oh yeah, you've got to do it. You've got to do it." And I thought that was pretty terrific. So in any case, I competed in 2019, and I was horrible. I honestly just didn't know what I was doing. I had not been to a pageant before, as I said, and I really didn't know what to expect. And although everybody was incredibly kind, and I made terrific friendships that I'm sure I'll have for life, I wasn't prepared with a proper talent performance and a country costume, those kinds of things. So those are things that I learned over time. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do it again, maybe I won't. And then the next year, the pageant system awarded me a lovely title, which was Ambassador to the Senior Games, which is something maybe we can talk about in a bit. It's something I'm very passionate about. And then last year, we didn't actually have a pageant because of COVID. So it all sort of got pushed to this year. But I felt like this year, I was ready to take it on. I had been through some health issues, and I really, really wanted to sort of reassert my sense of power. And I felt that competing again would be a way to do that. And so I did, and I went home with this. So that was pretty exciting and wonderful.
And congratulations once again.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk a little bit about what competitions are involved in competing for either Miss Senior USA or Miss Senior Universe.
Okay. The most important thing maybe to keep in mind is that we are not putting on swimsuits and high heels, which at our age would be kind of horrifying. Instead, the competitions, if I want to put it that way, are more about what do you do to make a difference in society? What do you do to give back to your community? So we have a philosophy of life to create, which we have to be able to recite in 35 seconds or less. We have, certainly a platform we're supposed to be familiar with. And actually, throughout the entire pageant week, there are maybe competitions that aren't necessarily readily apparent to all the delegates, in that there are sort of maybe secret shoppers who are there throughout the week observing everybody and seeing how you respond to stress. How do you interact with your fellow queens? Are you just putting on a smile when the camera's on, or are you actually a genuine person who wants to bond and empower other women? And those things are super important. They're also, people will be checking out our social media platforms. Are you involved in certain charities? Are you giving back in certain ways? Or are you posting, snarking things about other people? I mean, those things are have to be taken into consideration when the pageant system is considering who's going to be representing us and who's wearing the crown, who's out there. Can you speak articulately, and will you have a positive attitude? So all those kinds of things are very, very important. Yes, there is a talent competition. I have no performing talents. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't play an instrument. So for me, it was a bit of a challenge. And I am a fitness instructor, so I had toyed with the idea of doing some sort of, fitness dance. And when I spoke to our pageant director, he said, well, people don't really know that much about your history with the Senior Games and the fact that you've won a number of gold medals. Maybe do a video and tell your story, which is actually what I did. And so that actually is now available on our website. You can see it underneath my picture. And that was a wonderful way for me to be able to share something that I wouldn't have been able to just do on stage. I couldn't go on stage and hold up a bunch of medals, but it was a way to sort of trace my evolution from, physical nerd to an athlete. And that was a really, really special kind of thing to do. So that's all part of it. Obviously, we have to be judged on our ability to speak and speak under pressure underneath the lights, and basically how you represent the sisterhood of women who are over 60.
And of course, evening gown is a part of it as well, I assume.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's important to be able to represent, and we are in a pageant industry, so evening gowns are kind of the uniform. And what woman doesn't like to get dressed up and feel girly? So that's a really cool part of the whole experience.
Define the word senior for me.
Well, it could be a state of mind. In the Huntsman World Senior Games that I'm a race director for in the National Senior Games, if you are over 50, you are considered a senior. My doctor in California, where I used to live, basically told me if you're over 40, you're a senior, which is really kind of depressing. At our level, in our pageantry system, yes, exactly. Our pageantry system, we are considered seniors at the age of 60. There's sort of a junior level for those who are 55 plus, but primarily it's women who are over 60.
Before competing in pageantry, you were actually competing in the Senior Games as an athlete, and you've captured over 43 gold medals. Is that correct?
Actually, 43 is the current count and amount. Yes, yes. And in fact, the Senior Games culture, as if you will, is kind of what led me into senior pageantry. I had never been athletic in my life until I was well into my 50s, probably. And I, through a long story, discovered the sport of race walking. And after competing in some of those events in California, my brilliant husband was Googling race walking events one night online, and he found something called the Huntsman World Senior Games. And although I kind of, gagged on the idea of the word senior, it sounded like fun. So we went to St. George, Utah, and competed. And 3 years later, this is where we live because it's such a beautiful place. And we've had such a positive, fabulous experience at the Senior Games here. And we are now, in fact, race directors for the Senior Games here, and then also at the national level for the National Senior Games, which this year will be in your neck of the woods in Fort Lauderdale in May.
What are some of the commonalities of competing as an athlete and competing in a pageant?
Believe it or not, there are a lot of very, very, very strong parallels. They're both about refusing to accept that age dictates boundaries, that you can still go out there and do it, whether it's in the sports arena. And in the Huntsman World Senior Games here in St. George, we have 35, I think, different sports, everything from, triathlon and swimming and half marathon to pickleball and shuffleboard and lawn bowling. I mean, there's something for every single skill level. I'm actually the race director for the race walking and the power walking, which is a very, very inclusive, two very inclusive sports. So it's all about saying you can still do it at any age. And we have athletes who are in their 90s who are just amazing. And the same with senior pageantry. It is, ladies, even though you have reached a certain birthday and your driver's license has a number on it, it doesn't mean that you have to stop, being female, being strong, being empowered, making a difference, giving back to your communities. And it's all about empowerment at every age.
And although you're new to the title, what are your goals as Miss Senior Universe?
I feel very strongly that I would like to be out there speaking to people. I hope especially to speak to seniors and share this message that, look, this is my year of turning 70. I didn't decide to pack it in and stay home and do nothing. I would like to speak to as many groups as I can and share this message of empowerment and staying active and never giving up, and never having somebody tell you you're too old to do that. I think that's just a silly way of looking at life.
I hear you have a new role as Senior Pageants Group.
Yes, I do. One of the most important things when you get the crown is that you then become part of the team that is planning the pageant for the next year. So I'm now working with a really talented group of ladies who are all titleists, Miss Senior USA, Miss Super Senior USA, and myself. And we are planning the pageant for the end of this year, which we hope, again, will be in your neck of the woods, Carl, in Florida.
Many systems have begun incorporating divisions for more mature women. But what makes Senior Pageants Group unique?
I think it's unique because we focus exclusively on senior women. We encourage women of this age actively, recruit them and empower them. Our motto is embrace, encourage, empower. And those three verbs really have meaning on a personal level and for all of the sisterhood of Queens. We encourage ourselves, we encourage each other, we embrace ourselves and who we are at this age, and we embrace each other. And then we empower ourselves by being part of the system and empowering women everywhere who are over 60 to say, you still got it, girl. And we all have this, cumulative breadth of experiences that we bring just by virtue of having lived 60 years on the planet or more, or 70 or 80. We have two queens who are in their early 90s who are just phenomenal human beings, and they're still out there every year attending every pageant and giving back in many ways to their communities. So those are all really, I think, important messages to share.
Any personal discoveries about yourself through competing in pageantry?
I think that I am stronger, maybe, and more courageous than I thought that I was. I've always been a very kind of retiring person. I'm a very social person, but I'm actually very shy natively. And it's hard for me to walk into a room full of strangers and say, hi, here I am. And that is becoming less foreign to me. I'm feeling more comfortable in that role. It's kind of hard to walk into a room with a crown on and have people ignore you. So you kind of have to either get used to it or just, you're in the wrong business. And it has been a very huge learning experience for me. Very important in terms of my personal growth.
And of course, you competed in the system twice. And in between the 2019 and this most recent Miss Senior USA, Miss Senior Universe pageant, you actually overcame breast cancer.
Indeed, yes. As it turns out, when I was competing in December of 2019, I had just found a lump in my right breast, and it was a cyst that I'd had for a number of years, and every year I'd have a mammogram and then an ultrasound, and the doctor would say, oh, don't worry, it's just a watery cyst. But indeed, that fall it had become calcified and it was becoming painful. But I was sort of, wound up in the pageant stuff, so I kind of didn't have it checked out. And when I actually called after the pageant and said, I think there's something going on here, they said, oh, well, you're on Medicare, you have to wait a year since your last mammogram. So I had to wait 2 more months after that. And then when I got in, it was pretty obvious what was going on. But fortunately, it was a very early stage, stage 1. It was very near to the surface of my outer quadrant. And so I had a lumpectomy in February of 2020. just as everything was starting to shut down with COVID, I got the cancer diagnosis. So maybe that was a good time to be dealing with that, I guess, because everybody else was, stuck in their houses anyway. And I had the lumpectomy, and then I had a series of radiation treatments. And, it wasn't a picnic, but it was doable. And I think the important thing I want to convey is that I decided I wasn't going to be a victim during this process. I was going to try and take control of what was going on as much as possible, educate myself, talk to my doctors, do what they said, and also stay active. And so my radiation treatments were every day at 3 o'clock. So in the morning, I'd get up, put on my running clothes, and go out on the trail for 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 miles, however long I was going to go. Come back home, take a shower, get dressed, and I put on every day a sparkly running skirt, and I put a number on my arm that had the number of treatments I had left, and I went in there and said, let's make this a party. And the radiation technicians just kind of looked at me like I was deranged, but it was how I chose to deal with it, because I felt like I was running another marathon. So I wanted to wear appropriate running clothes and make it sort of fun. And then we got through it, and my final day, I went in a sequin cocktail dress with my crown on and my sash, and said, okay, I'm done. And I brought the technicians a cake that had a big radioactive symbol on the top. And we had cake and we celebrated, and I got to bang the gong. And then 2 weeks later, I did a half marathon to celebrate. So my oncologist told me that attitude and activity were really, really the keys to getting me through all of that as successfully as was possible.
That is absolutely amazing. What advice would you give someone considering competing in Miss Senior USA or Miss Senior Universe?
Do it. Well, first of all, of course, visit our website, misssenioruniverse.org, and take a look at all the information, download the materials, look at the application, and then think about, where you want to go with this. Why is it important to you? What would you do if you won? What message would you want to convey to the sisterhood and to the world at large? What's important to you about your life at this age? And what do you believe that your contributions have been? Having said all of that, don't ever let someone else's expectations or opinion of you hold you back, because we're all our own worst critics, but we unfortunately tend to listen to, other people's voices. And that's just kind of silly, particularly with social media. It's really, really easy to get, bogged down in all of that negativity. So, believe in yourself, believe that you have value. And it's particularly at this age, you have so much that you bring to the party, and you doubtlessly have talents and experiences that will be very, very valuable to the pageant system. So do it. Just do it.
And you touched upon it briefly just a moment ago. How can people find out more about Senior Pageants Group, whether it be through the website, social media, or whatever other division that you may have?
We do have a website. It's Ms. Senior, MSSENIOR, universe.org. And you can find out all the information there. We're also on Facebook. We have a lot of social media presence. So it's really, really easy to find us. There have been a number of stories in the news recently about Miss Senior Universe and Miss Senior USA. So Google's a great thing. You can find us pretty easily.
Is there anyone that you would recognize who has helped you along this journey?
Oh my gosh. I would say that people who've helped me on this journey have been my fellow sisters, for sure, my sister queens. I know that there's a popular myth that, women can be kind of snarky and catty and all of that, but I think maybe at this age, we're all just really grateful to be alive. and it really is amazing how supportive the women are of each other. And particularly my fellow queens here in St. George, Shelley Sybil Gish and Janine Burton. We all three competed in Las Vegas in January, and we were sort of the St. George blonde trio. And in fact, we just had lunch day before yesterday together, and we're going to be doing a service project together as St. George queens. I think the most helpful people have been my sister queens, for sure, and those who have come before me.
Any parting thoughts?
It is a profound and surreal honor to wear this crown. It's not anything I ever anticipated and paid it in my entire life. And I hope to honor women of all ages, but particularly women my age who may feel like the best years are behind them. I'm here to tell you that's really, really wrong. There are so many amazing years ahead of you, and it's just giving yourself permission to enjoy them, and giving yourself permission to celebrate who you are, what you represent, and what you can give to the world. Don't lose sight of that. It's very important, and it'll carry you through some really amazing times.
I could not have stated that better myself. And today's special pageantry podcast guest, calling in today, Ms. Senior Universe 2022, Marianne Hamilton. Marianne, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Carl. It's just been a pleasure. I really appreciate your time.
Excellent. I just absolutely love this lady. She is so genuine. She's absolutely, her feet are on the ground. I didn't realize that she went through cancer, and oh my heavens, what an ordeal. And she just kept her smile on no matter what, just keeping the high road. What an incredible woman. We definitely, there is so much. I love her thoughts when it comes to many people when they retire, they feel that's it, that you're done. And it isn't. And you're going to find out each Tuesday. It's going to give you kind of a fountain of youth to listen to each interview that we have and find out it doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter. It's just the train of thought that you're putting in your mind. And it can be changed, and you can definitely have a wonderful life, just as you heard from Marianne. So I'm so excited that we were able to have this podcast and also meet the president of this program. Now it's called the two websites. She mentioned a different one, but the main website that will go to all of them is seniorpageantsgroup.com. You can see that on the right side. And there's also misseniorusa.com. They have a lot of different .coms, but they all go to the same site. The pageant finals are November 16th, 2022. I encourage everybody to go to this site if you're 60 and over to take a look, take a peek, and consider maybe something like this. It's absolutely an opportunity for everybody to roll your sleeves up and meet some new friends. Like she said, the Sister Queens. It is going to be held at the Villages. It's a wonderful place that's north of Orlando, and they do everything first class. It's going to be held at the Sharon L. Moore Center for the Performing Arts. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and put up the slide on the website. So I want to put the website up so that we can find it and we can go through it together. I think that would be a lot of fun just to kind of show you that before we sign off. And here we go, right here. So this is the website she was talking about. Up in the corner, it says misseniorusa.org, but you can do any of those. We just heard from Marianne Hamilton, who is Miss Senior Universe, and wonderful title, very well deserved, definitely very well deserved. And just by scrolling down, there's all kinds of things that you can learn from. I want to play this little wonderful video. It's a snippet of the pageant, but I just love it. It'll show you some of the talents on here, and I'm gonna take that sound off so we can just watch this.
It's rather lonely. You don't feel.
There he is.
The Miss Senior USA pageant honors the lives and accomplishments of women over 60. They are dancing, they are singing, they're doing fitness routines. I never imagined at my age there would be such a thing as a senior pageant. Pageants to me are for the 20-year-old superstars. Later in life, it's rather lonely. You don't feel like you're worth a lot. It basically changed me. I became more outgoing. These women have led such amazing lives. They're cancer survivors, they're World War II veterans. It's not age, it's an attitude. Mirror, mirror on the wall. The thing I love about this pageant world is the women. They're smart, talented, friendly. It's okay to be a mature woman. How does she look like that? Well, because it starts in the kitchen. You can't eat cookies. We want to be representing the seniors of America so we can show what seniors are capable of doing and how they are the new 40s. I hired a choreographer, I got a dance routine, and I practiced. I was in the hospital for a week, and I just got out Saturday. I wouldn't have missed this for nothing. If you tell me I can't do something, watch out. Just open the door of opportunity. I will step through. I was first runner-up last year, and I'm really hoping I will win. I'll just tell the truth. There was a time when being an elder was revered, and now it's feared. We have to change that. Life is not over at 60. Get your bucket list, dust it off, and let's get going. And our Miss Super Senior USA is Barbara. Go, girl. Right on.
How much fun. I love it. I can imagine. I wish, my grandma, I would have, if I would have seen my grandma do that, I would go, wow, you go, girl. Another thing is about younger people seeing these women. I know that's got to give them hope that they just don't retire and there's nothing left to do in life, but to absolutely be able to carry on until 100. I have my goal. I'm going to live at least to 100 and have my own faculties and in my own home. That's what I want to do. But each of these women, their mindset is so positive. That's why I just absolutely love learning about them. Now, here are some things you can click on. If you want to know more about it, there's a button that says media information, and it's going to give you all of this information printout just about where the pageant is for this year, all about it. It has their mission statement, just all the facts that you normally want to if you're trying to check it out. All these beautiful women making a positive difference, beautiful smiles. And I just can't say enough. I'm impressed with how well it is run, and they truly care about the women. That is really impressive. And so with that, what I want to do is get back over here. There's new scheduled events. There's application. You never know. You may want to think about this and plan on that. But this is the website. And I just can't say enough what a joy it has been to absolutely shine these two individuals, the president, James Kinsey, who took this over. He started by sponsoring women and was asked to sponsor, and then just decided to run it and go full board with first-class professionalism with it. And as well as listening to our Miss Universe, Senior Universe. What we're going to do, we're going to close out the show. I'm excited. The best way to find us is 9atnight.com. And that is 9atnight.com. You can see on this slide, and you can link right to the show. I'm here every weekday night from Monday through Friday with a different topic every night. Tonight, every Tuesday is going to be about the senior group pageants, and we're going to have different interviews. And of course, our prayers are that James Kinsey's health is better and we can have him live next week with the other wonderful, wonderful ladies in the interviews that we have. So with that, thank you for watching. We're so excited about bringing this on there, and say there is a lot of hope. Did you see how beautiful she was? And she's 70. Oh my gosh, this is just the beginning, right? That's the attitude. So with that, we'll see you at the next Tuesday, or we'll see you tomorrow night at 9 at night.
You're gonna break new ground, turn everything around. You're gonna live your life. There's a beautiful day headed your way.